Welcome to this next episode of the Creepy Froggy series. This one takes place in another cemetery, Berthåga cemetery in Uppsala, Sweden. This cemetery is quite vast in terms of size. It doesn't have as many burials, I think, as the old cemetery in Uppsala, but it's quite big. And here are some quick facts. This cemetery was established between 1963 and 1965. And the theme of the cemetery is the flora and fauna of Uppland, the province that it's situated in. It has a crematorium and chapels. A newer part of it was established in 2001 and contains a memorial grove and burial areas for certain faiths or groups of people: Catholicism, Judaism, Armenian, Islam and Baha'i. And the new part also contains a memorial grove, a forested area for urns, and an outdoor church. This part here is a memorial area. The crematorium at this cemetery is quite an interesting thing. It was founded at the same time as the cemetery and was the result of a competition where the winner got to design the new crematorium. And one of the criteria was that the crematorium had to be in touch with the local environment, the nature of Uppland. It was renovated in 2000 with new incinerators and a system for flue gas cleaning being installed to make sure that it is as environmentally friendly as possible. According to environmental laws, the crematorium can perform up to 3,500 cremations per year. The excess heat that is produced by the crematorium is not wasted. On the contrary, it is led to the district heating system of Uppsala town. When the local energy company was contacted regarding allowing the crematorium's heat to be a part of the heating system of the town, they carefully considered the ethic sides of it all before saying yes. The alternative was to let all that heat go to waste. Other crematoriums in other parts of the country have had their requests denied, so it wasn't a straightforward decision. In one single year, the crematorium creates 1,500 megawatt hours, which is enough to heat up about 100 houses. Not only is the cemetery producing heat for the local heating district, it also is creating dirt from compost. The compost facilities at Berthåga cemetery is where all the gardening waste from all the other cemeteries in Uppsala is transported to. Now, it's not this here little bit, it's somewhere else in the cemetery. The compost facilities create fresh dirt from all the gardening waste. And the facilities, they were built in the 1990s and is located outdoors, covering a surface of about 4,000 square meters. It's run by just one person who separates all the gardening waste into several piles, depending on the size of it. And when the piles are big enough, a machine is brought to the location that chews the material. After that, the material is regularly turned over with a digger to add oxygen to the equation. That also consists of nitrogen, carbon and water. All in all, it takes about 1.5 years for the heap to turn to dirt. The compost facility produces some 2,000 to 3,000 cubic meters of compost dirt per year. The fresh dirt is used for funerals, beds of flowers, flower beds, and lawns. And the cemetery also sells fresh dirt to customers. I mentioned earlier that this cemetery was planned to be reminiscent of local flora and fauna. And here are some examples of that design. This cemetery contains a park-like area with locations that have several different names. One is called the Urn Forest. Another one is called the Brook Room, the Bird Pond, the Mowing Meadows. I'm supposed to go across here. Here, I think. The Fruit Grove and the Tree Church. And together it's meant to mimic the historic landscape where the land was divided into fenced-in arable land and the wild land on the outside. The Mowing Meadows is supposed to be open land with some wetland. This is definitely one of the more peculiar graveyards I've ever visited. It's like walking around in a park, and apart from seeing a few graves in the beginning as I came into the cemetery, I saw them in the distance. These are the first ones I've seen, and I've been walking around for a while now. The Bird Pond. Near the forest graves there is a pond, and it is said to have quite a rich set of wildlife. Moose, herons and salamanders are some of the species that have been spotted here. And just a stone's throw away from the bird pond is the forest burial site. This is the Urn Forest, I think. The spruce trees, pine trees and leafy trees, they form a grove for cremation burials. This is the tree church. This outdoor church is supposed to be a living replica of Uppsala Cathedral. The layout is the same, but instead of actual walls, pillars and a roof, there is hedges, trees, and the sky. The pond by the altar is supposed to mirror the natural, tranquil beauty of the surroundings. This natural church is available for anybody to use, regardless of faith or culture. And it's used for weddings, funerals, christening, etc. During All Saints' Day, the church is decorated with live candles and live music is played. And this church contains cremation burials. Right next to this tree church, there is a small meadow with an orchard. I managed to find a creepy story that has a tiny relation to this cemetery. In the 60s, there was a gruesome murder in Stockholm, Sweden. A dentist was beaten to death by a man named Wilhelm Rodius. The motive seems to have been money. The dentist had money and Rodius needed it. So he bought the dentist some lunch, after which he killed him, chopped up the body and burned it in 3 fireplaces in his flat. The building was later torn down, destroying the evidence. The only way the killer was caught was thanks to a diary that the dentist kept, in which he named Rodius in an incident that nearly killed him before. Rodius confessed, but the police didn't believe that he could have burned the body in the fireplaces. They decided to conduct an experiment, to cut up a dead pig and burn it in the same manner that Rodius claimed he had burned the dentist's body. And it worked. So what connection does this have to the cemetery seen behind me, Berthåga Cemetery? Well, Rodius was sentenced to life in prison, but he got out after 14 years. He died in 2007 at the age of 96. He was buried in the memorial grove at Berthåga Cemetery. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of the Creepy Froggy series. And there's only 1 episode left now in this first season. Stay tuned for that. Bye.